Hello and welcome to Let's Play me, GamerWolfSix, of another game from the Daster series. This one, as you can see down there, is Interea, a game that I believe goes alongside Daster, but it might also go afterwards. Who knows? Anyway, since I already put that intro there, let's move my guy back. Oh, and also, if you want to play this game, it's, I believe, for free on itch.io, but if you want to, support these guys in the making of this game and other games, you can go to their Patreon and give them monies to, create these games. Anyways, let's figure out the age-old question of what the heck is this game about? Click. So, that's the plan then? The dragon floats at a single isolated point in the vast universe. You know that whenever I speak, it is with the utmost respect. Don't you know all? If that was sarcasm, you would know. So I ask. I was trained to speak with unfamiliar beings whose existences escape my comprehension. You don't need to accommodate me. Oh, we must be talking to the parents? There's a pause. Actually, why are you distracting me like this? You know, the Galactus were actually easier to speak to. The Galenias? Somebody we haven't met. Apologies. It is not my place to speak of such tender things. You do have such tender feelings. Indeed, that was sarcasm. But let me speak seriously once more. After botching their first mission so terribly, don't you feel the human and the wolf have been through enough? Why risk their livelihoods once more? Yes, not my place. Well, despite your best efforts, there remain sapient feelings of empathy within me. Yes, fine. I shall begin watching. He clamps his paws together, honing his concentration, focusing it down from the vast stretches of the universe, from dimensions unseen, down to a single being in his own realm of existence. A single being, on a single moon, in a single bedroom next to his wolf. He summons this being with a simple name. Of course, it's, Boop. Dark? He mumbles quietly. And he disappears into a whirlpool of bending light. Okay, now I'm confused. So is main character like the human with the wolf, or is he on Earth? Because I thought he said botched mission, which was the virus thing, right? I feel myself coming to, in that moment where you realize you're waking up. The way I felt in this moment has changed drastically over the course of my stay here. Just moments ago, it was usually the worst part of the day. Having to remember what happened and all the obstacles that were ahead of me. Most of that stress ended with the fight in the amphitheater. Now, that feeling of dread has evolved into, well, another kind of dread. Okay, so I think I remember. This is supposed to take place after, most of the events of Adastra, and then kind of before the human leaves to do his mission. Then what mission were they talking about, then? The day I'll have to say goodbye is drawing nearer. Still, along with that feeling comes one of love and relief. Because I know I'll see what I see when I open my eyes. Big sleepy boy. Sure enough, the Emperor of Dastra is splayed out before me, leaving himself exposed in a way that he never would while awake. Well, at least when it wasn't just the two of us. The warmer months on Dastra have arrived, about the same as it was when I first landed on the moon. Because that, the bedding is especially light, and our only blanket is pulled down to the point that it almost makes him look like a tastefully covered up model. He doesn't need a blanket. In fact, he hardly ever used them before he met me. Now, he does it for my benefit, starting the night with his body and the blanket wrapped my furless body. I think that's a bit of a grammar thing. Oh, I completely forgot about that other grammar thing. Bollocks. Then, oh yeah, how's the audio? Seems right. Then, usually, by the end of the night, we both become so hot that we end up splayed out. The blanket wadded up off the side. Like the position of it now. I like the position of it now, though. Sleepy. It's like he can feel my eyes on him, though. He shifts, then yawns hugely. I stare into that gaping maw for a moment, for some reason tempted to poke my hand inside. It's something I would sometimes do when he was yawning practically hard, something that was always sure to annoy him. Sorry, sometimes I don't read so well. It's probably less of a good idea to do it while he's still mostly asleep. There's enough power behind those jaws to easily sever any body part I have. Whoa. No, don't think. He has to constantly restrain himself when handling me, even casually, so better leave the teasing for when he's fully conscious. I smirk at the slight whine at the end of his yawn, kind of like I've heard dogs do back on Earth. If he wasn't aware of me earlier, the soft exhale of air from my stifled laugh gives me away. That piercing blue eye on me in an instant, and I'm a little startled by how quickly he's honed in on me. Amicus isn't always in the best of mood when he wakes up, especially these days. I clear my throat. Good morning, Amicus. He doesn't say anything, just eyeing me suspiciously. What? You find something amusing? Amicus is using his emperor voice on me, a serious tone that I reluctantly have to admit suits him well. But I know the playful, outgoing man beneath the regal exterior, so it doesn't really work on me. I don't think amusing is the right word, my emperor. I glide my hand over the fur of his chest, feeling the swell of muscle before dipping it into the valley between his pecs. Ooh. His little act falters. Slowly, he lays back, and I feel him relax even more than he already was. I feel his abs loose the tension as I rub the hand through his belly fur, rubbing it in a circle and mussying it up a bit. Mussing? I don't know that word specifically, though maybe I do. To this day, I find myself marveling over his body. His massive size, compared to my own, is awe-inspiring enough. But also, to feel how soft he can become, despite that latent power I know sits behind the relaxed, padded muscle. It's something I've got to feel regularly at night now. Ooh, woo. My hands clasping his sides, while his chin is against the top of my head. I work to control my thoughts, knowing that Amicus doesn't have time for distractions like that in the morning. Slowly, I pull my hand back slightly, sighing. Of course he notices. What's the matter? Nothing. Amicus rumbles deep in his chest in a way that wolves somehow are able to do. Then he turns heavily onto his side, purposely keeping his paws up, so that he stays exposed, encouraging me to keep rubbing. And also probably just enjoying showing off what he knows I really like. You are the one that always brings up our communication, as you put it. He breathes in deeply, his chest swelling out and his stomach sucking in a bit, showing off his figure. So, communicate with me, Dark. I know you need to go to work, but I like being with you here. That's all. Still, my hand reaches out, smoothing over his side, down his ribcage, before resting on his side, and I feel the skin and muscle between twitch slightly. It's almost convincing, but if you do not tell me the full truth, I'll pin you and smother you while nibbling your ear until even Neferu hears you across the palace. Neferu. You'd like that to happen, wouldn't you? I eye the giant paws that Amicus keeps relaxed near his head. I would like to sniff your beans, though. You would like it even more. Neferu might like it the most. He's weird like that. I open my mouth to keep up our banner, but that's when Amicus does a rollover before coming to stop, with his body arched over mine. He keeps himself on his knees and elbows, so as to keep his weight off me. I cringe, preparing myself for the overwhelming way his flexible tongue is able to tickle my ear, but instead he presses his lips to mine. I lay underneath him, forcing myself to relax. Finally, he pulls back, narrowing his gaze down his muzzle, looking me in the eye. I love you, but we will discuss this further when I return. His more serious demeanor is melting away as he becomes more awake, rolling away to stand up next to the bed. I stayed there ruefully, keeping myself covered with the blanket, so my erection isn't all that obvious. That was mean. There's something just a little embarrassing about how I've known Amicus this long, yet he still has this kind of power over me. Ooh woo. I'm gonna have to censor that. I was teasing, partially. I will want to know if something is really bothering you. Is it the moon tour? I thought you'd be excited. I am. Seriously, I'm fine. I'm glad we get to have these moments in the morning before you leave. And the week ahead, too. His demeanor. Now it looks like something's bothering you. Also, I do want to take a quick look at something. Amicus Adastra. How big is he? I'm not meaning his, thing that you can't see there, really. Heroes Wiki Fandom. Well, let's look at the first one. Okay, he's 7 feet, which is 210 centimeters, and he's 300 pounds, or 135 kilograms. And he's on the Heroes Wiki. Do-gooder. Okay, that's enough of that. How's my face? Ooh. Okay, I was worried I clicked something. We're still recording? Cool. Enter? Ooh, right. We're still recording, right? Yeah. Alright. We're cool. He's like that. Sorry. It's strange with you. You tell me something, yet half the time, it feels like you're telling me the opposite. It's like... He pauses. I narrow my eyes, knowing what's coming. You're a bit of a female. I keep my expression stone cold, knowing that he was just trying to coax me into talking more. I also know if I act offended, that will just gives him more satisfaction of seeing me contradict myself when it comes to gender equality. That will just... Okay, I'm gonna make a note. What is it? Because I like trying to help people, spell check or something. And, okay, maybe not spell check, but be like, hey, or spell check. Yeah, sure, let's do that. But it's like, hey, they don't have a, Discord. At least I don't know, No, Come on, I. Yeah, good enough. I need to keep my eyes open. I have very squinty eyes, apparently. At least, Face Rig seems to think so. You're late. Maybe it's because I have eyes that, don't need to be open as much to get so much light. I'm very much a night person, You're late. Yes. Was just joking. I get my own satisfaction in seeing Amicus flustered over his failed attempt at teasing. Okay, completely lost where we were. Arrow my eyes, waving him off to show that it's alright. We will talk later today for sure, before we leave. We have all week to talk. Better hurry before Virginia uses comm to call you. Right. Amicus hurries around the room, grabbing his cape and trousers, before disappearing into the bathroom. He skips his usual shower, though. He at least brushes his fur. Oh, hopefully he doesn't get all smelly welly. He leans over, kisses me again quickly this time. My meeting should go to the 11th hour. See you then. You better be looking forward to our holidays. I am. Later. I smile back at him, which seems to satisfy the wolf, before he disappears out the door, leaving me alone in the bedroom. I listen to his heavy footsteps thunder down the hallway, before sighing heavily again. What do you think, Com? Does the 11th hour really mean 13th or the 14th? You'd think it'd be 11. Though, I wonder if this thing has, a comic from that one guy showed in a Kamina, which I don't remember from Adastra, but maybe I just couldn't remember it. The 11th hour refers to the 11th hour in the 19-hour Adastran day. So it's past noon. Thank you, Com. Please pick up where we left off yesterday in Adastra, a history. Very well. You'd think it'd be a history of Adastra. Or maybe it's just here's the place, here's the subject, I start to get ready myself, but at a much slower pace than Amicus. Meanwhile, I listen to what is considered the quintessential record of Wolves on the Moon. It's taken me several weeks to get through it. It began with Darsus 10,000 years ago, the moment he named the moon Adastra. I think he's the guy with the tigress that we met in Kamina. Not this character, but the other character. Pre-Adastra, or the time of matter, is something I probably won't be getting to anytime soon. It's probably best, considering how much more fractured and confusing the moon was in those days. Adastra's history is an easy-to-follow single line of emperorship, though it does start to blur together after 10,000 years. I've started to perk up a bit more as it's neared the present day, especially with the mention of Amicus' father, though As I've gone deeper into the history, I find myself wanting to pull back. While the Wolven approach has always been brutal, it's becoming more difficult to listen to how that is focused on the father of my lover. Amicus seems excited me to learn that part of history, his own history really. I haven't told him that I've gotten to that point yet though. I haven't told him I've got, okay, yeah. The ruthless power moves and executions, both of which have occurred countless times over the past several millennia, feels quite a bit more personal. Several millennia? Maybe it's not because millennia because it would be closer, but because it's like, hey, it's kind of the things we personally experience. Amicus looks up to his father quite a bit, but now that I'm learning more about him, Emperor Potes saw to it that the Chemians would receive the message loud and clear, so he sent his trusted friend, Cato, to the planet Cuarto 2413b, on which the Chemian genetics were uplifting the primitive Wolverine race, geneticists. So wait, uplifting isn't just being like, here's a book we're going to teach you, it's like gene to make people smarter and stuff? At this point, I'm getting to the beginning of the Chemian War, the third one. So wait, there are two other ones? Woof. Even the tone of the record seems to have become defensive. Just 57 light years away from Adastra, this was an affront to the Wolven sovereignty. Cato thus cleansed the planet of the Chemian crime and returned peacefully to Adastra with no further bloodshed. Upon Cato's return, Emperor Potus received him with much fanfare. Hold on, calm. I just finished pulling up my robes, and now I sat at the edge of the bed, wondering if I really wanted to know. It's not like I can change history. Is it worth knowing something that's already done? I mean, yeah, it is. Most of the time. That might paint my view of Amicus' own father in such a bad light? Well, the answer is yes. Understanding the wolves is the point of why I'm doing this. Read A Chemian Counterpoint to Adastra, A History, Chapter 12, Section 2. There's a pause. It doesn't take a genius to know that what I just heard had been whitewashed to almost non-existence. Luckily, the Chemian that wrote the correction to Adastran history organized the volume in a way that mirrored Adastra, a history. She wanted it to be as easy as possible to find the Chemian viewpoint to all of Adastran history. Of course, Amicus doesn't know I've been pairing Chemian records with Adastra's own, but I just needed something to balance all of this out. The planet Desh-Ereth was first explored by the wolves in 324 years after the Chemia's unification. After discarding the planet as barren of promising sapient life, Chemia requested rights from Adastra to explore the planet themselves. This was granted after a price was negotiated and paid in precious metals. Exploration began 18,342. Oh, 18,342. It wasn't that many years ago. It was, that's the year. And within 2 months, a promising sapient lifeform was discovered in the form of underground-dwelling Wolverine creatures. Uplift was initiated, but just 200 years into the project. Just 200 years into the project, Adastra finally learned of this sapient lifeform they missed centuries ago. Instead of initiating talks, the wolves instead launched a surprise attack, massacring over 500 Chemians, and 135,000 uplifted Wolverines. Only two Wolverines were recovered by a rescue mission several months later. The atrocities committed against the peaceful uplift mission included extensive use of incendiary weaponry. Wahenferotep, the lead of the rescue mission, recalled that burnt corpses were left scattered in hundreds across the region, left amongst the ruins of homes, schools, and nurseries. Calm, that's enough for today. Yes, Stark. I air my eyes with my hands, already feeling tired. I could just tell myself that this was someone else's problem, a sin the wolves will have to answer to themselves. But because I'm with Amicus, a part of this civilization, and he seems so stubborn about only having pride in his culture, well, I need to address this somehow, at some point. I don't want to always take the Kamian's word over Dastrans, but considering that the Kamians tend to admit when they've made mistakes, it naturally makes me trust them more. I've decided to continue my lessons when I get back from the tour. I feel like I can't really stomach much more woven atrocities at the moment. I'd rather have breakfast. I'm alone in the corridors, as usual. I tend to get out at a later time than the others. Not that I'd really enjoy the company of many of the others, but my existence feels more and more lonely every day. Amicus says it will change after our trip. I suppose this tour is a bit like my introduction to the rest of the moon. Oh, the moon trip. I thought it was the moon trip because it's like the sun trip and the moon trip. It's because moon. We live on a moon. Duh. Afterwards, I'll be able to make more public appearances, according to Amicus. Initially, this didn't sound all that appealing, but the more time I spent within the corridors of the palace, the more I've changed my mind. The more I think about it, the more I feel the cramped walls of the palace closing in on me. Even now, I changed my mind on breakfast mid-stride, and said take the route that will take me in front of the palace, wanting to go for a swim instead. It's been a while, and they always left me feeling exhausted, in a good way. Much different than the tender weakness that the hot baths left me in every morning. Which reminds me, I stopped by the door to the baths on the way, pressing the panel. A wall of steam smothers my face instantly, and I'm glad I decided not to go with the usual routine today. The feeling of suffocation is exactly what I'm trying to avoid right now. Nephru? The voice is weak, under a sudden change in humidity, and clear my throat. Nephru. Ah, Dark, I've been waiting for you. There are a few things I'd like to discuss before. Hey, I'm going for a lake swim instead today. You can join me if you want. There's a pause that goes on for a notable amount of time, then a sigh. There's an echoing sound of sloshing water, then the smacks of it hitting the marble floors. You have quite the knack of choosing the worst of days, you know. Yeah, I'm gonna have to censor that. I can't really see it too much down there because it's like black on, but not too noticeable black on a, black word thing. But then there it's like, yeah, that's an entire bean. And cherries. Hey, hold on a moment. I'm already moving back into the hall, knowing Nephru well enough to, at this point, not to just stand there and let him prattle on. Why do you always choose the harsh cold of the murky, slightly polluted lake over the comforting warmth of mineral water is beyond me? And with no time to make myself decent, thanks for that. You're just walking around with your beans out. I side-eyed the big jackal, wondering why I didn't take time to at least grab a towel. Hey, it's up to you. I just didn't want to leave you hanging in the baths, expecting me to show up. Nefru slips on the marble before catching his balance in a stumble. And why are you naked? I was just going to wait for you by the lake if you were going to come. Nothing you haven't seen before, eh? Not in the halls of the palace. And who else might see us? Anyone, but I'd be most worried about Amicus. If I were you, he comes back early sometimes. Ah, yes, I suppose that would be a worry. Woman jealousy knows no bounds. We exit the palace into the gardens. I think he just finds you annoying. He finds you annoying. Annoyed by his own jealousy? Maybe. I roll my eyes and start slipping off my robes on the beach, Nefru waiting patiently while I do. Speaking of the angry emperor Amicus, I doubt he'd be happy to see you swim across the lake without any safety measures in place. He and everyone here just needed to get used to the fact that humans aren't like other primates. Accidents happen, no matter the species. Nefru's concern for rules and safety seem so out of character for him that I just can't take him seriously. Race to the island. My muscles are so loose from the hot bath. I slap the water so that it splashes Nefru's body, making him gasp. Well, warm up then. Feeling giddy for the moon trip, I assume. It's just nice to be out of that stuffy palace. Here's the thing that I kind of find funny. I remember playing like Red Dead Redemption 2 and having my character swim not far off, and his stamina was like dropping drastically. It's like, oh, he's gonna drown. We didn't drown, but I was like, boy, he's really out of shape. But then like I tried to swim when I went in a kind of large pool, and it's like, wow, this is harder than I remember. Because I remember like being able to do it constantly as a kid, but then as an adult, maybe it's because I'm like heavier and definitely denser. Kind of hard to keep swimming, I started swimming, and even though I have pretty good head start, Nefru catches up easily, though he swims alongside me at a measured pace. Unlike the wolves, chameleons are rather good swimmers, or at least Nefru is. I start wondering if I should have listened to him about safety measures. At least a sightseer to have something to cling on to in case I cramp or something. At least a sightseer. I don't know. I'm not too worried though. Sure enough, I feel my limbs starting to give out. I touch the sandy floor of the island. Just as I feel them starting to give out, I touch the sandy island. I'm gasping for air when I get to the beach, splayed out on my back, feeling exhaustion like I haven't in a long time. I'm vaguely aware of a slightly panting Nefru behind me, follow me onto the beach. I suppose now you realize how foolish that was. I crack an eye open at Nefru, just enjoying all the feelings my body is sending me. Foolish? I feel great. I guess you're just a fool then. A fool then? The anger in Nefru's tone catches me by surprise. I prop myself up on my elbows, looking at him carefully. You alright? I'm fine. You, on the other hand, were seconds from drowning. The odd spontaneous feeling I'd been under the spell of suddenly dissipates. It's quiet for a few seconds, and Nefru goes about shaking off and grooming his fur. Hey, listen, it's been a while since I've done a lot of swimming. I didn't know I was so out of practice. I'll be more careful next time. Surely. I haven't felt these feelings from Nefru since all those moments back when I'd stumbled upon him in his room drunk and rambling about his family. He hardly ever lets things get to him, so when he does, it's awkward. So I lay on the sand, wondering if he'll explain this weird shift in mood. As always, patience pays off with Nefru. Imagine if Nefru begins squatting next to me in a way that manages to be graceful, especially compared to me splayed out and covered in sand. After everything you and your wolf have been through, you just so happened to drown in a lake because you were careless. I think about that, and about how that would bring this grand, complex plan to a screeching halt for the parents, and it makes me laugh. Nefru narrows his eyes at me. Sorry, it's just, you're right, that would be ridiculous. And considering your brush with death not long ago, I would think you'd cherish life just a bit more. It's all just starting to feel a bit too much. Alright, Nefru, I'm sorry. You should probably apologize to Amicus, not me. I'm starting to think this is more of a personal issue on Nefru's part, for whatever reason, and I just want to move on. What was it that you wanted to talk to me about? Nefru flicks his ears, but seems to let go of his weird issue for now. Well, it relates to a bit of what we've been speaking of. I loudly sigh, but Nefru talks over it. In the sense that I feel that Amicus is probably portraying this as a grand adventure for all of us. Oops, sorry. Hey, first shot of the thing. I have been working out like a dog today at the gym, instead of taking it a bit more seriously. To the point that I think that he's forgetting how dangerous these things can be. Yeah? How so? Well, have you heard of the growing separatist movement in some of the major cities? Think back. I think so. The radicals want to separate from the parents, right? Well, remember that giving up one's fates to the parents is rather radical itself, as the amount of change that has occurred under Amicus. As is the amount of change that's occurred under Amicus. I don't think Amicus is all that radical. Oh, by Wolven standards, he is. Trust me. So it's all accumulated in this. Nefru pauses, with a look of surprise that's almost comical. I look around in confusion. Then his expression turns to anger. What? The jackal puts a finger on his lips as he stands, then just walks off into the forest next to us. I listen to the cracking branches before it goes mostly silent. I look around again, suddenly feeling vulnerable. I actually start to wonder if these separatists are infiltrating the palace right now, and that's why Nefru wouldn't talk to me so badly. But then I hear a yowl that makes me leap out of my feet, heart pounding, not sure if Nefru could have possibly made a sound like that. But then I see what it is. Nefru comes rolling out of the forest, 20 feet ahead of me, entangled with something that looks very familiar. Well, maybe Cato? Not Cato, he's dead. Alexos? There he is. Release me, sandog. What's the matter, Alex? We were doing this not long ago, and he very much enjoyed it. We're known for acting abilities, as you know. Yes, but you are a terrible actor. You never can resist manhandling me, you brute. The tables have turned. I remember when you couldn't keep your paws off me. Yes, well, perhaps I mistake you for being better endowed. Did Cato kick you so hard that you shrunk somehow? Yeah! Nefru suddenly lets go, letting him faceplant right into the sand. Do we want to end it here? Let's go for a couple more minutes, I guess. I kind of wanted this first one to be a bit longer. The water is simply cold, Alex. A likely excuse. I've been watching the whole exchange with my mouth slightly open. I haven't seen Alex in months. not only that, but the interaction between the two of them is definitely weird. Like, they're both used to doing it, and liking it. Neferu collects his breath first from the little tussling match, and narrows his eyes down at Alex. Enough stalling for time, Alex. Why are you still spying on us, when your cover's been blown, and you have no communication with your home moon? Wait, hey, cats live on moons too? Or, home moon? First of all, we were here first. I should be suspicious that you've come to spy on me. Cassius is here? I look around, not sure if I'm actually wanting to see the wolf or not. Our relationship is definitely complicated after everything that's happened. Alex seems to notice me for the first time. Oh, Dark, you're here with the jackal? How are you this? Alex, don't. I guess I sound fed up enough, and Alex cuts his usual spiel short. Rude. Oh, I'm rude? I take a step forward, and Alex stiffens up. Neferu quickly steps between us. So, Cassius? That is none of your business, Jackal. I'd say after the way you two have treated me that... Alex, give me that damn wine... Give me that damn vine antenna thing. I'm tired of holding this. Nope. Vine antenna thing? Ooh. Alex makes such intense felinoid hissing sound that if I could, I'd lower my own ears. It's silent for a moment, then there's some shifting around from deep within the thicket of trees. Everything alright, Alex? Cassius' tone of concern quickly transitions into one of usual irritation. Because if I end up fracturing something over this, you'd best hope cat medicine is truly as advanced as they say. Cassius, we've got visitors. From Omofra? Did it work? By fucking Galen, get out of here. A few more indignant yelps from Cassius later, and the white wolf appears, stumbling out next to Alex and Neferu. Don't stab at me. You diminish my standing every time you do it. Well, I think since we have 4 characters together and we're a bit over time, I think that's a good time to call it. Boy, Alexis really does have Cassius wrapped around his paws. Jeez, Lou. I mean, I know it's kind of a dependent relationship, but it's Alex. I'm not sure if this is before or after the scene where, the main character is worried about the future and then gets that vision from the parents. But then after feeling all happy and stuff like that, he bumps into Alexis trying to getting Cassius drunk and trying to hijack the Emperor's ship. Before us being hey, what the hell are you guys doing here? Especially you, Alexis. Yeah. It's good to be around these guys. I've missed them. Maybe not so much Alexis, because he's a jerk. I mean, Cassius is a jerk too, but you can understand his jerkness. He definitely has a heart. Alexis... So that's going to be the end of this Let's Play. So anyways, please comment, because I like comments, what you like, dislike, tips, as always. If you like my YouTube and like to see it grow, then please like, subscribe, and check out the videos epic grow. And please remember, to spend your ammo, so control the pet population. If you want to play this game, well, while we're at the end of the video and stuff like that, let's just make sure there was a free HIO. I mean, at some point in time, by the time this comes out, so let's see, because I have 30 videos before this. And if, let's say, there's 4 weeks in a month, that's about, 7.5 months from now is when I'll post this. I like doing these things early. Because it would be a pain in the ass to be like, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to have to wait a week to go to the next one. You know? Where are we? Boo Echo Project. Or maybe I could just type in Interea, you know? Interea Dastra. Wiki itch.io. Yep, there it is. It's free on itch.io. But it seems like you can also get it on Patreon for the monies. But you wouldn't need the monies for that. You know? So anyways, until next time on another Let's Play by me, GamerWolf of Interea. So see ya.